Okay, we're calling the meeting to order. If we could all rise, please. Welcome, everybody. Let's get up for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now we'll have a moment of silence for our first responders, our police, our wonderful firefighters, and of course our veterans. Thank you. Okay. So, thank you everyone. It's nice to see you all. I am very happy to see that you've all come here because we have a lot to talk about, and don't forget that we're always interested in your ideas. We try to plan at least 2 to 3 months ahead, but we're interested in knowing from you what you would like to know more about, what situation you find yourself or other people that you know in that we can help to get the word out. I'm going to introduce now, our town clerk is here as well, Diana Quast, here she is, and Joe Falcone from the Rec Commission, our liaison, and Ed Lachterman came in, our councilman, and of course I'm going to introduce right now Noreen O'Driscoll. She's, as most of you probably know, is the Director of Senior Services for the town of Yorktown. And if you have any questions for her, you can ask her, and she will be introducing our next guest, who will do a presentation. Noreen, why don't you get up, and I'm sure you're notorious by now, so.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Noreen O'Driscoll, and I am the director of the Yorktown Senior Center. I'm here today to tell you about some of our programs that we have here. I'd like to begin by saying that our program is so much more than a meal to any senior. It is so much more. We provide homebound seniors that are medically necessary, that cannot cook for themselves, meals. So you might think, oh, yeah, you get a meal at home. But that meal, what that does is so much more. It is a well check in addition to a meal. It's checking on you. It's seeing a friendly face every day saying, hey, how are you? Is everything okay? It's that driver noticing a change in a person's behavior or a person's appearance. For example, we had a driver go last week to a gentleman who doesn't have any family in the area, and he could in Jefferson Village, and he could hear the man screaming, and please help me. And when we called the police, and when the police arrived, the man had fell and fractured his femur.
Oh, wow.
So that man would have been lying there had it not been for the meal. So when I say that we are so much more than a meal, we are so much more than a meal. And the same thing goes for our senior center, for what we provide at our senior center. We provide a place for somebody to come, to socialize, to sing, to dance, laugh. Linda can tell you. She comes quite often. It's just like having a little family there. And we do become like a little family, but we do welcome anybody to join that family there. So in addition to that, we're partners with the Department of Senior Programs of Westchester County, and they provide funding for us, senior exercise class, nutritionists, and just a great resource for senior services. They're always there for us, for whatever needs we may have. So we are fortunate enough to have a new program offered by the county through a grant for our senior center. So at this time, I would like to introduce Colette Phipps. She is the Director of Program Development at Westchester County Department of Senior Programs, so that she could tell us about this program. And I hope that you all take advantage of this program. It's really an amazing opportunity for the seniors of Yorktown.
Thank you, Noreen. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Nora, and just thank you for your gracious hospitality. I'm so pleased to be here. As Nora said, my name is Colette Phipps. I'm with the Westchester County Department of Senior Programs and Services, and I work for May Carpenter, and I know that many of you know May. She's been around for a long time, and she is essentially our visionary. As a matter of fact, when I tell you about the program here today, I want you to know that May coined the title of this program, and it's called TIPS, Telehealth Intervention Program for Seniors. I think all of us know that telehealth is a big thing now as a result of, that dreaded pandemic. It's more and more popular. Well, way back in 2013 and 2014, we knew what was coming, not the pandemic, but we knew that we wanted to do something that was up and coming, something new, something nuanced, something innovative for our seniors. We constantly try to do that. So with a wonderful grant from a large foundation, we were able to begin the telehealth intervention program for seniors. And some of our team members are right here in the audience. I believe a couple of months ago, you heard from Jennifer Schwartz Crawford,
Yep.
and Dave Gower is our data management system guru. So he puts all the equipment in. I mean, all of the things that we're doing that are techie, it comes from Vital Care Services. So let me just go on and say that this is how the program works. If you would just, I beg your indulgence because we have 3 versions of this program. So I'm going to start with classic tips. That's where we began in 2014 after planning out this entire thing. So you should know that this initiative was put together with maybe 5 or 6 people, including May Carpenter, our commissioner. And what we wanted to do was to have a program where seniors would be able to check their vitals on a weekly basis, and I'll explain to you what vitals we check, and also that we would be able to provide information about the programs and services that we offer through the county and through our subcontractors. So it's a 2-pronged method, and we thought to ourselves, if people know what their vitals are, their pulse, their oxygen, their blood pressure, and their weight, and they know that every single week, they're likely to be concerned about it. So if week 1, you're at a certain weight, and then week 2, you're 2 pounds more, you might want to think about that. You're concerned about that. Now, let me just say to you, this is telehealth. Okay, so when we take these vitals, and there's just all kinds of beautiful benefits to this, this information goes through a tablet, Bluetooth server, and it goes to a telehealth nurse. So what is wonderful about that is that that nurse gets that information. So let's say that your blood pressure is a little high, it's a little low, you're going to hear from that nurse within 24 hours. And that nurse is going to say, Mrs. Jones, you were at the tip site today. I noticed that your blood pressure was a little high. What's going on? But before we even do that, in terms of how we have coordinated or orchestrated this program, we do an intake for you. So I'm going to describe to you what we would like to do and what we intend to do at the senior site here in Yorktown.
Oh.
You might come in. I want to be part of the TIPS program. Welcome. have a seat. You're going to be seen by a student from one of our schools, because Jennifer and I supervise graduate students and undergraduate students that are fully trained by Dave to take all of this information and put it in this tablet. We will be doing an intake. So when you come in, we do an intake. It's about a 4-page intake. Not that bad, but we just kind of want to get a baseline for you, because our ultimate goal is to save taxpayers' dollars. If you know what's happening with you vital-wise or health-wise every week, it's highly unlikely that you'll have to visit at the ER room or a hospital, because you're going to know what's going on. So you're going to go to your doctor, at the first sign of something being off. So we do the intake, and, that takes about maybe 10, 15 minutes. You get to know the person who's going to be working with you weekly. It's, a graduate student usually, and then we have the undergraduates to help support the program. So we do the intake. And then what we do is to get your vitals. So we're getting your pulse, we're getting your weight, we're getting your blood pressure, and we're getting your oxygen. We put all of that on what we call a tip sheet. The tip sheet, on the face of it, we write down the metrics, and on the back of it, everything is explained. What's a blood pressure? What does oxygen mean? What does your pulse mean? So that's on the back. Now, many of our participants here in Westchester, and we have over 1,500 participants here in Westchester, take those tip sheets to their doctor when they go to visit. Or they keep them and they begin to sort of collate and take a look at what's happening week by week. Let me tell you that this is also a research project, and we work with Mount Sinai and we've found, in terms of what we've been able to do since 2014, is to decrease the visits in terms of the ER room and the hospitalization by 30 and 35%.
Wow, that's good.
So we know that it works. We want to bring it here. We want all of you to be a part of this. Not only that, it is an award-winning program. It has won several awards. So we love the idea of being able to bring something to this town and other municipalities that allows an older adult to stay in their home for as long as possible with independence and dignity. So I'm going to stop now and answer any questions that you may have, because I'm happy to do that.
I have a question, not a question. I'd like for you to reiterate that you will be here in Yorktown in order to organize this.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, I think
So-
they need to know, we'll need to know when, exact place.
It's on the flyer.
It's on the
Okay.
flyer.
People in the audience, the television audience, don't have the flyer,
Oh, you're right. Sorry, Rosemary.
so we need to go over that, okay?
All right, so thank you so much, Jennifer. So we do plan to launch. We do a nice launch. Usually it's balloons and food, healthy. Okay. Incentives. And we plan to do that on November the 7th. And the program will occur every Monday from 10 to noon.
Wonderful,
Good.
very good.
Any other questions?
No, that's
All
wonderful.
right.
Out there.
Hi.
Any personal information be shared?
Thank you so much for that. So what we do is to ask our participants to sign what we call an informed consent. So what we don't want you to be worried about is the fact that I'm Mary Jones, and Mary Jones's name is going to be all over the place. Mary Jones will be known as a particular number, let's say 141. We also want you to know that everyone is HIPAA trained. So, I don't know, maybe, Dave, you could just stand up and maybe say just a little bit about being HIPAA trained and what that means.
Dave, I'm sorry, can you go to the
Microphone.
microphone for the TV audience?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Please let me direct the meeting. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. So what we do is go through everyone who works with us, whether it's nurses or students who come to the sites weekly, complete a HIPAA training course so they know what personal information is and how to protect it. Everyone who signs up, who are participants of the program, all their data is all de-identified as a PIN number, as Colette elaborated on. When you come in, you don't have to bring a card or a number. You just give your first and last name, and your participant profile is in the tablet. So once you sign up, the 10-minute, 15-minute intake process, that's a one-time thing, and on a weekly basis, you can come and just give your last name, first name, and you'll be able to take your readings and vitals directly through your own profile. And on demand, say it's 3 months later, you want to see what your 3-month reports are, we can provide printout PDFs that you can share with your own primary care providers or your loved ones.
Thank you, Dave.
Very good. Thank you.
One more thing I'd like to say, that this program is under the large umbrella of livable communities. And if you know anything about livable communities, we have at least 13 or 14 projects under that large umbrella. And we intend to also, with the help of Noreen and the agreement of Noreen, talking with her, we can bring some of those programs to you. Like one that the seniors love is Essentials of the Smartphone. And we have a wonderful staff member who works with older adults and teaches them how to do more on their smartphone, than just make a telephone call. It's very popular. Okay, so just be thinking about that. We have some value-added and enriched programs that we will also add along with the TIPS program.
Wonderful. Thank you.
you
Thank
so
you
much.
thank you so much. Thank you. I just saw our supervisor come in. Would you like to come up, Mr. Slater?
Afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. It's great to see everyone again. Great news for the Nutrition Center. Noreen, congratulations. Let's give Noreen another big hand. I really can't emphasize to everyone the importance of Noreen's agency. She does a great job for our seniors and the elderly of our town. So if you know people in town, and I have 2 new clients for you, remind me. But if you know anybody in town, who could benefit from the Senior Nutrition Center, please get their name and number over to Noreen. Her and her staff do a great job, and they'll reach out to them directly and they'll set them up, and it just improves their quality of life, which is what we're all about here in the town of Yorktown. So great job, Noreen, for all you did. We appreciate it. From the town standpoint, just a couple of updates. We received a new $60,000 grant courtesy of Senator Harcum. That's going to be used for installing EV car chargers over at the John C. Hart Memorial Library. We discussed that 2 weeks ago at a town board meeting, and so we appreciate the senator's continued efforts here for our community. We started our water relining project up on Strawberry Road. This is the first cement relining project that we are doing in more than 20 years, and there's a special going on that's being played on the Government Access Channel with our Water Superintendent Kenny Rundle, and it explains what the purpose and importance of water cement relining is. But essentially, our water pipes are 70, 80 years old, and there's buildup that happens over time, obviously. And so this is going to clean out the pipes, make sure that we have high quality, drinking water, but also from a first responder standpoint, when we have emergencies, it makes sure that our fire departments have adequate water supply to put out any structural fires that may occur. So really important from a health standpoint, really important from a first responder standpoint, and we're happy to see that our first project here, the water cement relining, underway. They'll be doing Hanover Street next spring, and again, a really important, investing over $3 million this year in improving our water system, which we're really happy about, and able to do it while protecting local taxpayers. This town board also discussed, as you recall, the federal government gave Yorktown $3.7 million in ARPA funding, and the town board discussed ways that we can spend the funds down. And so some of the things that we're looking at is enhancing the John C. Hart Memorial Library. I know Yvonne Sheck has spoken to all of you before, doing a phenomenal job up at the John C. Hart Memorial Library. But enhancing the library with study pods, something that she continues to get requests about, but we don't have individual study rooms available, and new carpeting at the library. We're talking about security cameras over at the Cappellini Center, which is something that's been talked about for eons, it feels like, but we haven't figured out a way to get it done. So we'll be investing in that and improving our security there. And also the other big one that we're looking at is a major streetscape project, about $1.7 million for Downing, right here in the Heights Hamlet. Commerce Street got a wonderful streetscaping project completed a number of years back, but we weren't able to extend that to some of the neighboring streets. And so as you see with the new Uncle Giuseppe's and the popularity of that store, Downing Drive is most definitely next on the list, and so we're excited to be able to invest that as a major economic development initiative to provide not only complete streets and new sidewalks, but also bike lanes and really taking it to the next level for the Heights Hamlet and our business community. So we're excited about that as well. As a reminder, for those who may not have heard or may not have been here, but the library is now offering passport services right at the John C. Hart Memorial Library. You no longer need to go to the DMV.
Wonderful.
You can go right to our own library in Shrub Oak. Again, Yvonne Sheck and her team doing a great job there. And so I just wanted to make that note. Two other things quickly. We formed a youth council. We had our first official meeting. So we have our senior advisory committee, and we have the supervisors youth council. We had our first meeting just this past week. We had about 24 students from Lakeland and Yorktown from 6th grade to high school, 6th through 12th grade, and had some great conversations with them about ways that they think that we can enhance our community, new services that we can provide to the community. And so they're going to be engaging next month actually with the library about doing a book fair. And then the following month, they're going to be meeting with the Chamber of Commerce president to participate in an upcoming job fair to make sure that there's a youth component to that as well. So that's always really nice and exciting to engage the youth of this community and make sure, just like our seniors, that they have a platform to advocate for their needs as well. And so I'm really excited about the opportunities that's going to present. Lastly, I just want to talk about garbage, everyone's favorite topic in Yorktown. As everyone knows, our garbage contract expires with AAA at the end of the year. The town has spent most of this year trying to refine the garbage proposal. Reality is that the garbage contract was set to increase. It was inevitable because of the economy. We went out to bid 4 times, and that persistence is important because originally we were going to see the contract double, and that's what we received back from AAA. But because of our persistence and work with our staff, we were able to save about $600,000 on those bid proposals and maintain the current level of service. So overall, the contract that was awarded, there was two companies that bid on it. The contract that was awarded would save us $1.5 million over 5 years compared to the second contract, and $2.5 million over potentially the full 8 years if the town board renews the 1-year contracts. So, that's the good news. Unfortunately, again, because of the economy and the cost of everything going up, the cost to maintain the current level of service does increase, but we were able to mitigate just how much it will go up. And so, we feel it's the best case scenario for our residents. It doesn't change the garbage pickup for anybody. 2 pickups a week for your garbage, 1 for recycling, multifamilies included. And so, we thought it was important to maintain those services as well. So I just wanted to report that to you all. We're working on our town budget. That's important, obviously, for next year. So we'll be rolling out. The way that it works in our town is I get the great pleasure of proposing the first draft of the budget, and we're working with our finance department to finalize that. We'll be rolling that out next week, and then we'll begin the budget process for everyone to review it and provide feedback on it, and we'll go from there. But I think that there's going to be some really good things in this year's budget, some enhancements to law enforcement that are really important for us right now, and we'll see what the rest of it shakes out. But that's the update from Town Hall.
Good.
Happy to provide any answers
Thank
to
you.
questions you all might have. Any questions? Yes, ma'am. Excuse me.
I don't expect you to go into depth, but what is happening with sewers? When will that be starting?
Specifically, the Halleck's Mill Sewer District Extension. Is that you're referring to Halleck's Mill?
Repeat her quick.
Sure. So the question was about the sewer expansion. So for those who may not know, the town board, for the first time in 30 years, established a new sewer district, the Halleck's Mill Sewer District Extension, over by the Sparkle Lake area. We were able to put forward our application to the State Comptroller's office, and we are waiting on comments back from the State Comptroller at this point in time. It has to be approved by the State Comptroller's office because of the rate. Once you cross a certain threshold on the cost, that it would, because it's 332 parcels paying for about 14. I'm sorry, no, I'm going to be. The total cost is $14 million, but it'll be about 3 and change that they would be paying off over the life of the project. So the threshold, unfortunately, that we go over the threshold that requires comptroller review, which actually I think is a good thing to make sure that you're not overpaying for your sewers. And so we are waiting to hear comments back from the State Comptroller's office before we can proceed. But it's moving along. It takes some time, unfortunately, but we expect to hear back by the end of the year.
I'm glad to hear about your comments about the students from Lakeland and Yorktown. I was wondering if any of them would be interested in driver's education. That hasn't been taught in the high school in years, and they don't realize the 10% saving on your parents or their own auto insurance. Even our recreation department may be interested in using some funds to enhance driver's education classes.
I believe we've offered that in the past, some defensive driving courses.
AARP does.
AARP does, right?
Right, but that's a senior base.
Yeah. Thank you, Councilman Mack. Hope you're feeling better. I see you've got some pretty cool shades on there.
Yeah.
I can't help it.
Sorry.
But yeah, no, Mr. Frank, we can. This is about the driver's ed for the youth of the community. I mean, they still, if they're getting their junior license, they still have to take driver's ed as a requirement.
I see.
But that's something that we can definitely talk with them about, and I'm sure we can pair up with the necessary agency, and I'm sure Parks and Rec would be willing to work with us on that as well, so we can continue to offer that in the community. But it is important, for everyone, not just our youth. It's not bad for anyone to get a refresher in defensive driving tactics. We've seen some unfortunate incidents on the road, and always important for us to always have a review to make sure we're doing things properly. And things change, so you never know. You might pick up on something.
It's given in towns up in Dutchess, and if you want to send the child down to Mamaroneck, which is
It's a great suggestion.
for a parent,
Yeah, it's a great suggestion to keep it local. Absolutely.
So everyone who wants a driver's license now,
A
at
junior license.
a junior license,
Junior
yes,
license.
has to take driver's ed.
Yeah.
Do they know that?
Yeah, it's a requirement.
Okay.
I had to do it. I took it over at Strang. I remember.
Last year, right?
Not last year. A few years back, right? A few years back. Other questions I might be able to answer? No, I just want to give a plug to NYP Hudson Valley. I know they're one of our great sponsors, but we had a great breakfast this morning with the Yorktown Chamber of Commerce. Heard from Stacey Petrover, who is the president of Hudson Valley Hospital. They've made some amazing enhancements, even through COVID, and I can't speak highly enough about them and the services they provide. I think many of you know that I help my mom take care of my grandmother. We've exclusively using Hudson Valley Hospital at this point in time for her needs. And it's been fantastic. And so we're really lucky to have them as our community hospital.
Absolutely.
We're lucky in Yorktown because we do have access to a number of healthcare facilities. But Hudson Valley Hospital really goes above and beyond, and I really can't speak highly enough about them, and at least the personal experiences that we've had from my family's standpoint. And again, I want to thank our partners at the county for helping us provide a new service here with the telehealth, which is fantastic. Always looking for ways to partner with our different levels of government to provide important quality of life services for our residents. So I just want to thank everyone again and thank our Senior Advisory Committee for doing a great job.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor.
Great to see
Thank
Jenny
you.
back.
Yeah, I got Jenny back.
Oh, boy. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'm trying to give Jenny hugs. I haven't seen you in so long. How are you?
Hanging in there, getting there. Thank you.
Good to see you.
Okay. Speaking of New York Presbyterian Hudson Valley Hospital, she's actually almost an honorary member of the Yorktown Senior Advisory Committee, Ellen Bloom.
Thank you, Matt, for that wonderful plug for New York Presbyterian Hudson Valley Hospital. As always, wonderful to see you. We had a great breakfast with the Yorktown Chamber of Commerce this morning. We're so privileged to be such an important part of this community, and it's so great to see all of you as always. I love when I can get out here and see you. I am so happy today to just keeping in line with the great new service that we opened up this year, our cardiac cath unit. I'm always so happy to bring out our cardiology team. And today we have Susan Schwerner, who is an RN and a stroke education coordinator at the hospital. Oh. Under Sue's leadership, our hospital has just achieved an amazing advanced primary stroke certification, which is offered in collaboration with the American Heart Association and the American Stroke Association. So I can't emphasize enough how important that is for us to have a leader like Susan, who's ensuring that if everyone that needs help and care at our hospital has excellent service. And that's what Sue is responsible for. She is exceptional at what she does, and her team is. And today you're going to hear from Susan, about stroke prevention, stroke awareness. And I've heard this talk before, and what she tells us is life-saving. She's going to give us important tools and techniques and things we need to know, and I'm so glad to have her here with us today. And with that, Susan, please come on up. Thank you.
Thank you, Ellen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Ellen, for such a beautiful introduction. And yes, so proud of the hospital. I've worked there for 16 years. I've been a nurse for 30 years. And that hospital is my second home. So they do a wonderful job. So I am here, as Ellen said, to just go over recognizing signs and symptoms of a stroke and what to do if you feel that maybe possibly you or someone near you or loved one is having a stroke and what to do. Just to begin, to go over what the different types of strokes. A TIA is a transient ischemic attack. And that is where you would hear a warning stroke, a mini stroke. Okay, that's where you have mild symptoms and the symptoms resolve on their own. It could be tingling, it could be the change in vision, you can have slurred speech, and it's when it resolves on its own. It could resolve in 5 minutes, 20 minutes, a half an hour, or you get to the hospital and the symptoms resolved. Those type of symptoms is something that you really want to take serious, and you always get checked out. Let the provider, let your doctor tell you if that's a TIA or not, okay? Because that could be the warning of having a stroke. The next is a CVA, which is a ischemic stroke. That's where you would have a blockage, okay? It could be a clot, it could be plaque, and that's where the blood no longer flow to that spot in the brain. That is something that is very time sensitive, and that's where I'm going to go through what to do if you feel that that's something that's happening. Or you can have a brain bleed, which is a hemorrhagic stroke, and that you would have surgery for. A lot of people say they had the worst headache of their lives. Okay, anything like that of a change, you would want to get checked out immediately. Okay, so I handed out these cards. Everybody has them, and we use an acronym. It's called BFAST. Okay, this is what we teach. I've taught my family, everybody in the hospital. it's very quick way to recognize and remember signs and symptoms of a stroke. So it's balance, eyes, face, arm, speech, and time. So balance. Dizziness. I suffer from vertigo. Dizziness could be due to anything. However, if you have a new onset of dizziness and it's new to you or a loved one, you want to get that checked out. Don't self-diagnose and ignore it, especially if you have any other types of symptoms that go with that, maybe slurred speech, change in vision, anything like that, weakness. Please, please, please don't hesitate and get checked out, okay? Eyes. It could be blurred vision, double vision, maybe you lose your peripheral vision. A lot of times you'll hear someone say, oh, I had such a migraine and my sight changed a little bit, but it's an ocular migraine. No, that could be a stroke, okay? I have a friend who's in his 40s and he was barbecuing and he had a horrible headache and his eyesight, he started losing the sight on the side. He said, oh, no, it's just the headache, and he wanted to finish. His wife got him to the hospital. He had a stroke. So it's something, don't ignore your body. Your body's telling you something, and it's new. Please just get checked out, okay? Face. Now, the face could be something very mild, where I'm speaking right now, and all of a sudden you start noticing that my face is drooping a little bit. It doesn't have to be obvious, or it could be very obvious, okay? That's the real obvious version, but it could be mild. If it's somebody that you're with and you're talking to them, or even on a Zoom call, we've heard these stories that if people are on the Zoom call and they're noticing the person's face is changing, ask them to smile. Look at their mouth. Look at their teeth. Do you see is it a slight crookedness? Look at their folds. Is one flattened? Have them raise their eyebrow. You could only maybe just have the droop in the mouth, and everything else is normal. It could be very slight, okay? A stroke doesn't always present itself as very obvious. Okay, you notice a change like that on please get checked out, or whoever it is, recommend them they go to the hospital immediately. Okay. Arm. It could be arm, your leg, one whole side, one or the other. Numbness, tingling, weakness. Okay. If it's you, God forbid, raise your arm up. Is it very weak? Is it all of a sudden changing? Again, it could be something else, but let the doctor tell you that, because it's new to you, okay? Tingling, we all have things that change, right? Let the doctor tell you that. Any kind of general weakness, have the person squeeze your hands, maybe push, see if they have any strength. You could check their leg, push on their leg, push down and have them raise their leg. And if there's a change, you want to have that checked out, okay? Speech. It could be garbled, slurred, loss of speech. And a lot of times people pick this up on a phone call, right? It really is obvious. So you want to pick up on that and you want to say, I notice you're slurring. Please, you need to go to the hospital. Or suddenly I'm speaking and I just lose my words. There was a stroke coordinator having a meeting, with her own meeting, and she had a stroke. Wow. And she became aphasic. That was her only symptom. And she couldn't speak. She knew everything that was going on, and she knew everything they were doing, and she was all here, but nothing was coming out. And she received treatment, and she did very well.
Oh, good.
But she was speaking, but she explained what that was like.
Yeah.
So the whole key in all of this is time. T. Time is brain, okay? And I say that, I can't stress that enough. I know my own mom, she's a nurse, so I'll go lay down. I'll be okay. No, you need to go to the hospital immediately. So there's a couple of ways to go about this. Time is brain. You notice the symptoms. You call 911 immediately. The paramedics come. They're going to want to know the most important thing is what happened. Did you witness it? So there's a couple of scenarios there. It could be, well, my husband, wife, mother, whoever it is, or myself, I went to bed last night, baseline, no symptoms. But I woke up at 7 this morning with my face drooping. Very important to tell them that. That gives the doctors at the hospital something to work with to determine what kind of treatment that you can receive. If it's maybe I was talking to my mom. I was at her house at 10 o'clock. I went to the store. At 10 o'clock, she was okay. I came back at 11. Her face was drooping. You tell them that. I saw my mom at 10. I found her at 11. That's very, very important. Or if you witness it. If you see something that has happened, look at your watch. I'm talking. All of a sudden, I'm drooping and I'm slurring. Okay, it's at 1:42. Very important to tell the paramedics that I witnessed it at 1:42. And the reason why I tell you this is because there are certain treatments. There's a medication. It's called TPA. And that is for an ischemic stroke. That is if you have a clot. But they can only give it to you up to 4.5 hours from when you were last at your baseline. So when I say time is brain, if you witness it or it was within an hour, you want to get to that hospital because you're running out of time to get that medication if you're a candidate. If you went to bed and you woke up and it's a clot, you are a candidate possibly for a thrombectomy, and that's when they go in and abstract the clot. So again, without that information that you went to bed normal, at your baseline, they don't have anything to work with. But if they know you went to bed at your baseline and woke up with the symptoms, you're still within that 24-hour window. So the more information, those key pieces are so important. The other piece is, and you've heard this, I'm sure, is if you have whatever your medication is, have it on a card in your wallet, take a picture of it on your phone, have your loved ones take a picture of your medications. Because that, too, trying to figure out what the person's history is, if you are on a blood thinner or anything like that, without that information, that could delay making those decisions when you get to the hospital. So that's very important as well. If you have a pacemaker, it's always good to have the kind of pacemaker. This way, if you need an MRI or a certain kind, they know what they're dealing with. If you stuff like that, keep that, take a picture of it, have your loved ones take a picture of it. When you get to or whoever, the loved one, gets to the hospital, the first thing they're going to do, ask your history and all that, but they're going to rush and do a CAT scan, okay? And the reason why they do that CAT scan is they want to determine if there's a bleed or not. If there's a bleed, then you cannot receive the medication. So that's the first thing that they always do if it's within the time frame. They scan your head, okay? And they move very quickly. So those are the most important things of what to do. And always remember, time is brain. Somebody will say, I'll be over, you're slurring, I'm going to get to the house. No, call 911 because that time you take to get to the house, whether it be 20 minutes or a half an hour, you've just taken off time that you could be being treated at the hospital.
Right.
Okay? Really, really important. You can really change the impact of somebody's outcome by getting them to the hospital. Even a stranger. If you're in the supermarket and there's a person in front of you, you don't even know them, and they're talking, and all of a sudden you hear and they go down, take a look at your watch. When the paramedics come and say, I witnessed it, it was at 1:45, and you walk away. You don't even have to touch the person. You gave them such an important piece to give to the hospital of what can be done, and if they're in that time frame of the type of treatment. So a few other things. On the back, it has modifiable risk factors. Okay, and these are really, really important. Age, unfortunately, is not modifiable because we'd all be 21 or 25, right? But I know I would. But high blood pressure, high risk for stroke. And with the telehealth program, you could really monitor your blood pressure correctly. Because a lot of times you'll have a cuff at home of your own. Do you know how to use it correctly? Is it the right size? Are you taking it all again and again and on the same arm? You might not get an accurate reading. So having that person, another professional, helping you monitor that is really, really important. So that's a nice way to tie that in. Because high blood pressure, it's one of those things that you might not have any symptoms. That's the thing. Until you go and say, did you know your blood pressure is really high? No, I did not. But you're at high risk for a stroke with high blood pressure, so you want to make sure you monitor it, you get treated, you go to your doctor, you follow recommendations, and you take your medication as prescribed. Okay, atrial fibrillation is another one that you want to make sure that you keep on top of. You go to the doctor and you follow what the instructions are. Healthy diet, low sodium, you hear DASH diet, heart healthy diet, low fat. Diet is very, very important as well. Obesity, you don't want obesity put you at risk as well. Living a healthy lifestyle and walking, things like that. Whatever your doctor allows you to do, obviously. But those are the types of things that are really important to help reduce the risk of a stroke. Do you have any questions for me?
Yes, you mentioned
Hey, Jonas, let me call you back
the
in a few
time
minutes.
frame, and you mentioned that there were two kinds of strokes, the ischemic and the
Hemorrhagic, yes.
What specifically is the time frame for each one?
So the question is,
Could
what
you
is the
re-
time
repeat
frame
the
between
question?
the two, between ischemic stroke and a hemorrhagic stroke? So really, thank you for that question. The time-sensitive treatment really is for the ischemic stroke, because that is where you could receive medication for the ischemic. And that medication you can only get within 4.5 hours of when you were last unwell. And that's the medication that goes in and breaks up the clot, okay? For the clot as well, you have up to 24 hours for the abstraction, where they'll go in and they'll actually pull the clot out. So you have up to 24 hours. For a hemorrhagic, the bleed, that you just want to get to the hospital and then they could do surgery, or what you want to get there quick. That's a matter of handling and stopping the bleed. That's fast. But any type of stroke, you want quick. You want to just get to the hospital, because you can have an ischemic stroke that turns into a bleed. There's different things that can happen. So you really just want to get to the hospital and let the doctors diagnose you and not self-diagnose, that we all are guilty of doing.
Right. I'd like to make one comment about that. A few months ago, my husband took a fall, and he said, "Oh, I'm going to be fine." You know, he was an athlete, and I said, "You were an athlete when you were 25. Now you're 82. So get in the car. We're going to the hospital." But I learned something that night. I drove right to the hospital, right 10 minutes. We're very fortunate to have this world-class hospital 10 minutes from our homes. But I should have called the ambulance, because when I got to the hospital, I had to wait my turn. There are people who had walked through the door before me. But the ambulance, if he had arrived in an ambulance, he would have gotten care at least a half hour sooner. Fortunately, we had a wonderful Dr. Rosner. He's become one of my favorite people, who took care of him so beautifully. And we were fortunate that he was there that evening. But so call the ambulance.
Yes.
Even if you have your spouse or someone with you in your family that can drive you, I think it's best to make that phone call. Yes.
You call the ambulance no matter what, because the person driving you to the hospital is going to be in a state that you don't want them driving on the road.
Well, yes. Well, not only, I mean, even if you're, like, I would have driven him, I wouldn't have let him drive.
The ambulance people can treat you while you're in the ambulance.
Ah.
You can't be treated when you're in
very
somebody's
good. So you see, call the ambulance.
To take your note, what happens when the ambulance comes, if they think that you're having a stroke, they're calling the hospital ahead, and they're saying, here's a possible stroke.
Right.
So what happens in that emergency room when that call comes in?
Yep.
They know, they stop, and you're the first person they go to, because they have time. They have to meet times. That doctor, that has to be there within a certain amount of time. That CAT scan has to be done within 25 minutes of arrival or sooner. Sooner is better, 10, 15 minutes. It's fast. So they're already preparing for you, because they receive that call. They know they have to move.
That's I
Stroke
can't
is
emphasize
quick.
the importance of that. Yes.
If for some reason you do happen to walk into the emergency room, if maybe you're visiting or you're right near there, tell them when you walk in, I think that somebody's having a stroke, and they have to take you if they think it's a stroke. They need to call back immediately and move you fast. There's no waiting with a stroke.
Right.
There is no waiting. But I agree 100%. That's an
believe she did.
excellent point, to call 911. You know, I know my mom is guilty. Like I said, I love her to death, but she's stubborn. And no, I don't want to. No, we're calling 911 and we're going. because let them do their job. And to your point, you don't want somebody who's stressed driving you, and now you've put you and the other person in danger of maybe you both won't make it there in time. Right?
Yes.
Because the last thing you want, even if you get pulled over, you're wasting minutes.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You've wasted, you're losing precious time.
Very
Time
important.
is brain.
Yeah.
Always remember that.
Yes, I just want to say to the seniors here present, at one of our senior forums.
You'll have to come up to the microphone if this is not just a question.
I should know because I'm hard of hearing. I want to say that at
Come
one
to
of
the microphone.
I have to push.
No, you have to come up the step.
Okay,
Right.
I'm on stage. At one of the senior organizations, we received a packet that says if you're sick or in an accident, and you fill out all the information. It has, and I did it for myself and my husband, and I put it right near the front door. So, God forbid, we hope we never use it, but if any of you have filled it out, rather than put it in a drawer, put it right near there. It's a closet nearby, and it's ready. I hope I never have to use it.
Very good, thank you.
I have a whole bunch. I'm bringing it.
Yeah,
next
oh,
meeting.
good.
I scotch tape it right to the door.
Does anybody have any? Oh, sure.
I don't know if this is helpful to anybody, but I think I had a mini stroke a while back. I wasn't aware of it, or at least I didn't recognize it. It was pointed out to me when I had to have an MRI for something else. Oh, you've had a stroke. I said, I did? You know, whatever. So I think that happened probably a couple of times, which of course I didn't go to the doctor or do anything. As a result of that, I was told to take an aspirin a day. That would be preventive in some way. Some people said, one doctor said this baby aspirin would be fine. Another doctor put me on 320. So I've been doing that for many years now. Besides that, when I was at a neurologist more recently, he said that something else that might help me prevent another stroke, those, what did you call them, TIAs, would be to take what some people take for cholesterol.
Yes.
And that in turn, even though you don't have high cholesterol, if you take one of those each day, daily, perhaps it will prevent that from happening again. So that's what I'm doing. I just thought, I didn't know if you approve of that or not. But that's
Oh,
what I'm
absolutely,
doing.
absolutely.
You know about that. Okay.
Yes. So some of the points that you brought up is that to take an aspirin daily and called statins for your cholesterol, and it's all based on what your doctor. I would never say to take an aspirin. It's all based on what your doctor will tell you. But yes, that is one of the things. Somebody that had a TIA or a stroke, that is the common practice to have it aspirin. And lower dose statin, if your LDL is under 100, they recommend a lower dose statin. And if it's over 100, it would be a high intense statin, which is a higher dose. That is common practice. But again, always, always, always talk to your provider and make sure that that's what they want you to do. Another question that comes up, thank you for that and for sharing. Another question that is often asked, well, if I think I'm having a stroke, should I take some aspirin before I get to the hospital? Again, that's a question that you would ask your provider. I would not say to do one thing or another. My concern would always be because somebody would say, yeah, I'll take an aspirin, and I'll take 5. You know, right? Well, if one works, I'll take 5 and I'll break up the clot on my own.
Right.
So, I mean, right? So we have to be careful of that. We have to be careful that we don't, if we have a bleed and we're taking 5 aspirin. So those are the questions to ask your doctor.
Well, if you call the ambulance, when you get in the ambulance, they'll give you the aspirin and they'll speak to you and they speak into the hospital.
Right.
Because that happened to me. And I had taken 3 baby aspirins because that's what we had. My husband thought I should take 1 regular aspirin. But when I got into the ambulance, they gave me 1 more baby. So they wanted me to take the 1 aspirin. But they are in contact. As soon as I was in that ambulance, yes, they were in contact. And exactly what you said happened to me. The facial.
Okay.
And I had probably before, but when I felt this was so completely different that I called 911 right away. Then I called my son. I called 911 right away, and that was, I thought, a beginning of a stroke, or I didn't know, but I knew it was different.
Yes.
But as soon as they came, they asked me all those questions. When did you feel this? I happened to be at a meeting, and it happened like at 10 o'clock, and then I called them at 11 o'clock, and all those questions that I were asking, they immediately put me in the ambulance. The ambulance was out of that driveway in seconds, and they started working on me right away.
Wonderful.
And got to the hospital immediately in the emergency room. Every word you said what happened to me. And I didn't know what was happening. You know, I didn't think I was having a stroke, but when my chin felt, you know what else it was my teeth. When the gums were feeling different, and I didn't know why. And 911 right away.
Right, and yeah, that's the best thing you could have done.
And I
because
was okay.
you can go through these symptoms, but everybody you speak to, and it's a human body, you can have something slightly different.
what
So
happened
you
when I
just
was at the
don't
meeting.
know.
Yeah.
The difference between that and a heart attack is the difference in chewing the aspirin for a heart attack. So you don't.
Speak into the microphone.
You know the difference between.
Speak into your microphone.
Well, what he's saying is between a heart attack, you would chew it. With a stroke, that's where, again, heart attack, you chew the aspirin. But with a stroke, you
I didn't
really,
know
really,
that.
really want to speak to your provider and say, what would you recommend if I thought I was having a stroke? They're going to say call 911, and then they'll determine what kind of aspirin en route to the hospital. Okay?
And if you're on a blood thinner,
That's the other thing. You don't want to grab your blood thinner and take an extra one either.
right.
You do not want to do that. If you're on a blood thinner, the most important thing is to tell them you're on a blood thinner. Okay? And when was the last time you took it? That's very, very important information.
Excuse me, as far as the medication, she said put it in a drawer. I printed it all out and we have the doorway where there's the, plain piece. I scotch tape it right to my door as you come in or out of the door. And this way, when the ambulance did come, they asked my husband for the medication, and he went
Right there.
it was right there. It doesn't have to be big, it's small, it's not noticeable, but you know what? That night
Great
it was
idea.
very helpful. The ambulance people were very, very shocked that that's where it was.
I've seen it where they have the door hangers, too,
Right.
where you
Yeah.
hang it on the
That's
door.
right.
I scotch tape it right to the borderline of the door,
perfect.
and it was perfect.
And include, like I said, if you have a pacemaker,
Yes,
the
and
the
everything.
make of your pacemaker is really, really helpful. All of that information. The other thing that I did not bring up is if you have a family history of stroke, your mom, somebody close, your mom, your dad, or a sibling, that is really important to tell your doctor as well. Because it's not that they had the stroke that you will have a stroke, it's what caused their stroke. Is there something underlining in their history that you may have that will put you at risk for stroke? So it's very, very important that you share that information as well, so that they know if there's anything else going on, a family member. I believe you did have a question.
That's a good segue into my question, because my mom did have a lot of strokes, mini strokes, but I'm a lot healthier than she was at this point in my life.
Right.
So
So your question
is,
since your mom had the multiple, what does that mean for you? The one, you would always definitely share that with your provider,
Right.
your mom's history, and they would look into your mom's history as well. Is there anything else going on? Did your mom have high blood pressure? Do you have high blood pressure? Is there something else, maybe any underlying genetic thing or something that they could look at? If not, your mom did have them, so you really want to take care of yourself that much more, because it might be something you're not aware of. So that they do say if your mom or your dad did have, it does put you at a higher risk. Look at it more as a higher awareness, that you just take that extra step for yourself. Not to walk around thinking, oh, it's going to happen, but, I'm going to take care of myself. I'm going to really take care of myself, because anybody can have a stroke. Babies have strokes. Anybody can have a stroke. It's not that we're here, I'm in this room because of you. Anybody can have a stroke at any age. So it's just more of an awareness for you to just take that extra step and be more aware of your body and what to do.
I have a question about an
Sure.
an MRI. Is it possible for the effects of a stroke to disappear from an MRI?
So the question is it possible for the effects of a stroke to disappear on an MRI?
Could it be negative and really not be true that a person had something?
And if it's negative, could it be possible that they had something? So the difference between, I'm going to start with the CAT scan.
Yes.
So when you go and have a CAT scan,
Is it a CAT scan when they do the brain?
it's both.
Oh.
So
MRI
when
of the brain.
right, so the first thing they're going to do when you get to the hospital is a CAT scan, and the reason why they do the CAT scan is they're looking for the bleed. However, they're looking to see if you have a bleed, if you're bleeding. The CAT scan will not show if the stroke is happening right then and there. It doesn't show up. The damage, it's called a penumbra, and it's the area of where the blood's not getting to the brain. The CAT scan does not show that. It takes hours for it to show up in a CAT scan. So the CAT scan is just to show, are you bleeding? Or if you do show a stroke on the CAT scan, it means that it's an older stroke. It's not happening right then and there. And then that can also help determine if you're a candidate for the medication. Because if it's an older stroke, the medication's not going to help you.
Right.
Okay? Now, to your question for an MRI, if you were to go in and have an MRI first, that's going to show the stroke, I think, within 7 minutes of a stroke. However, it takes too long. That's why they do the CAT scan first. An MRI, if there's damage, and if it's a TIA, it's a clot that maybe stopped for a minute and then moved on, and there's no damage. You're not necessarily going to see anything on an MRI because it's a warning stroke. If you have had a stroke and there is damage where it will show up, it's not going to go away on an MRI. You'll see it, and that's why sometimes I believe when you had an MRI. Oh, you had a stroke. I didn't know I had a stroke because there's damage, and that doesn't go away. But you're living, and you don't have symptoms, because it was so small in this small amount. And you've heard people that have gone, and they've had tests, and I didn't know I had that. I don't recall that. So it will not disappear on the MRI. But you could have a TIA and have an MRI, and it doesn't show anything because it resolved itself, and there's no damage from it. Okay?
Very good. Very good. Thank you. It's very helpful.
welcome.
It's all very helpful.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any other questions they would like answered?
Anything else?
Good. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you, Ellen,
Yes, thank you.
our honorary member. Ellen is always very helpful putting these things together for us. And thank you, too, also to Hudson Valley Hospital Center, New York Presbyterian for lunch, which they provide for us.
Does Ed have anything?
Pardon me?
Ed, does he have anything?
Ed, yes, I'm getting to that. Thank
Okay.
you. Mr. Lachterman, do you have anything you'd like to offer?
We have a couple of senior housing
Do you
projects.
have a microphone?
Yeah, I'm talking into it. There are a couple of senior housing projects that are looking to come to town. I know there's been a lot of concern over that, where we want to see some different projects and some alternative housing for seniors. So I'll keep you posted on those. Everything's still in the planning stage at this point. And I know there's also a New York State tax cut coming down for seniors. So as we get a little more information, I will make sure that is passed on as well. But
In our lifetime?
yeah, I believe this coming year. So hopefully.
When?
So as I asked Kim Penner to look at a couple things for me, so
She's
gonna-
wonderful. She's very, very
she
good.
is
She's
terrific.
wonderful. We're very fortunate to have her.
And I will also just reinforce how great it is to have our senior nutrition center. I've worked with Noreen with quite a few things, but I don't think everyone realizes that this is not a job or career for Noreen. This is a passion, and I've been called many times by her with many situations as she wants to make sure the seniors are taken care of, and we have a terrific resource for all of you and her, and please take advantage of what she gives, because she gives everything willingly to our community. So thank you.
I think that's very important, Noreen. Anytime I've had any questions, I call Noreen. And as you can see, it takes a lot of people, the cooperation of our supervisor, of our town clerk, of everybody in town, with this great interest for seniors. But talking about housing now, that's one of my favorite subjects. We have a lot of people who have been in this town for a very long time, like myself. I was 2 when I got here, but that was 51 years ago. And you just, at some point, you realize for whatever circumstance is in your life, whether it be health or or whatever, you really need to downsize. However, when you reach a certain age and you're used to your church or your synagogue, you're used to your friends and your people that you know, activities, you really don't want to start out in a new community. So I've talked to the town board many times about this, that we really need to think about seniors who want to downsize and to offer them some sort of a solution for their housing issues. So I think that this is something that the town board, I know, is addressing. I would like the planning board to address it as well, because I watched a couple of meetings and it really, except for a very brief comment, it really didn't come up as a topic. So I just want to emphasize that and hope that we can address that soon. That's all I have to say. Anybody else have any comments they would like to add, or suggestions, or thank these wonderful people for coming and offering us their guidance? That's wonderful. But any time you have we used to have a box outside, Diana. Remember, a suggestion box? Is that still there?
I think it's in the TV room.
In the?
I think it's in the room where Tom is.
Oh, in the room where Tom. Well, it's no good over there. We're going to put it back out. Can we put that back out, Diana? And if you have any suggestions on topics or concerns, we want to hear about it. So you can just write it up. You don't have to sign it if you don't want to. Just give us a little note so we can have some guidance on it and put it in the box, which we're going to now put back outside. And Joe Falcone, thank you so much. I'm sorry we missed... yeah, he was here and he left, but tell him that we hope that he can come the next time. And because the Recreation Department does also a great job for seniors. So thank you all. We appreciate you being here. And once again, thank you to our lunch sponsor, New York Presbyterian. We look forward to seeing you next month. We will be here next month, but at some point we're going to have a meeting at the library. Maybe December. We have to work it out with Yvonne Check, but because we want to inform the seniors of the wonderful services that are available at the John C. Hart Library. They just get into so many things. So we want to make you aware of that. Have no qualms whatsoever about dropping in there and asking someone for something, because they're very willing to help us all. Does anybody else have any comments they'd like to make? Anybody from the board? Okay, so we'll adjourn till next month. We look forward to seeing you. Have a nice Halloween. Only give out safe candy.